Hi, thanks for
So,
having me.
thank you so much. I do apologize. My last interview did go long, so I'm not 100% up on exactly what you do. I know you're a folk music artist. Is that correct?
Yeah, alt folk. I do a lot of different things, but my direction right now with my records is alternative folk. I guess is I've been labeled just primarily acoustic guitar that I'm playing, and a lot of like singer
Okay.
songwriter kind of things. Yeah,
Okay. So alternative folk. That's weird because folk music generally is alternative to begin with, is it not?
maybe I'm just going by like the terms that I hear people throwing at me, and I have a bit of a different slant on my music, probably because I grew up listening to a lot of metal and whatnot, and it's
Okay.
kind of moved through me in a strange way.
So at the heart of your music, what is it all about? Because folk music generally has, or alternative folk generally has a meaning behind it. So what's the meaning behind what you're currently doing?
Well, it started with my first record, In Light. That album for me it's an album of perseverance, and at times that album feels a bit dark, but it was me coming from a traumatic experience in my life with the loss of my wife, mother of my children,
Oh,
and um, and just kind of you know getting back up after that. And so that album means a lot to me. It was I even recorded it in a way that it's just vocal and acoustic guitar, and I wanted it to be completely raw. The recording quality is good. I did it at a proper studio, but I didn't clean anything up. I just played the record, and so it comes off that way. And then my second record is Red Wagon. It's as much a prequel as a sequel to that record, so those two are very interconnected. And it's got a little bit more of a lighter feel to it, not necessarily lighter in terms of lyrical content, but lighter feel. I think it's just because I was in a better place in life, and I've actually I'm just finishing up my third record now, and I'm excited about getting some things out with that as well. So that's basically what I do, and I do play guitar on other people's records. I do a lot of electric work and session work and things like that, and I work with some companies like um, instrument companies that I have endorsements with and things like that. So keep myself busy.
that's awesome. When so obviously when you're writing music, you want to have people follow an emotional journey that you've had. Do you find that the music that you create is therapeutic for others sometimes? Or is it just literally to get stuff off your chest?
I think both. I think for me, I need to write, I feel better when I write. It's just sort of what I do. That's my process. However, I do get messages from people sometimes commenting on how the song relates to them, which I really love. And sometimes they even comment about how it related to them, and it's not even necessarily how I meant the song to to be related to. But I never correct them because I like that. I like that they've taken their own meaning from it, and it means something to them. And sometimes some people, they'll nail it right on the head, exactly what I meant. Um, and I like that. I think that as any artist wants somebody, to relate to them, or if you can help somebody through, and I've had some really neat comments.
That's awesome. I don't want to get too deep into it, uh, but thank you for sharing that because what you just talked about is a very emotional thing, and I could tell on your face when you were talking about it. Thank you for that. When you're performing on stage, how do you feel performing for people? What does it actually feel like? I know that's weird, but
Uh, to be honest, with these records and this material, I honestly feel a little bit naked sometimes. And depending on the night and depending on the song, where my head's at, sometimes even my own lyrics, I feel, I don't know if odd is the right word, but sometimes I feel a little bit odd or moved or by what I'm singing because it's me kind of um, divulging what's inside, and but I think ultimately it's therapeutic. I feel better, and I feel better about it. And after I play live and I'm playing this material, I feel maybe emotionally like I've accomplished something that way, and it means a lot more to me. But I love playing live. I really, that's probably my favorite part is playing live, and which is obviously something I miss right now.
so since you do what you do, have you considered going the virtual route and playing virtual shows? Or
I have already actually, yeah. So
okay,
I've done quite a few, and actually I really love that we can do that. It's not the same. You don't get the same human interaction, and even when you play live, you can. There's a feeling you get from the room, not just even the faces, but just a feeling off the room, or you get people commenting or clapping. Whereas when you play, you know, over Instagram or whatever medium is being used, it's you get silence. So you just have to hope and assume. So I sort of like insert crowd cheer in my head, just to make it a little bit real. So, um, but I have done that, and yeah, I enjoy doing that as well.
so do you think basically do you think that performing for the wall or performing for the camera is going to change how you perform on stage? Are you going to play bigger on stage when you go back because you have to play big to the camera? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I haven't actually given that any thought, but that's interesting. It'll probably be just as much of an adjustment to go back to it as and I think the biggest hurdle, like playing a folk music, you're usually in intimate rooms, so it'll be less. I think I also play rhythm guitar for Mahogany Rush, Frank Marino and
Mm-hmm.
Mahogany Rush. So we've got a tour that's knock on wood, going to happen in September, and it's about 7 weeks long through the states, and we pop up into Canada a few times, and those are bigger rooms. I think a lot of them are anywhere from 500 to 1,000 seaters, some of them even bigger, and that I'm hoping that that's allowed to happen, or well, obviously as long as it's safe to happen. So that might be a little bit different. For what I do, I think the intimate rooms probably not as much of a transition.
That makes sense. So, as a musician, uh, so folk has a long lineage for folk music. So, who were your inspirations for actually getting started in this genre?
You know what? To be honest, I don't have a lot of folk. Um, I can't say I was inspired by a lot of folk artists, although I do like a lot of folk artists. But I'm a huge fan of Tom Waits,
Okay.
and maybe I'm wrong on this, but my perception of what folk is just um, sort of like the purity of writing a song and delivering a message. Through doesn't not that the instrumentation is simple, but it's kind of a lot of folk music is delivered guitar or a mandolin and vocal or whatever that may be, and I think it's just that. Where Tom Waits to me is that a lot of what he says and his opinions, his music, I resonate or resonates with me really well, and I love that he has that I don't care kind of thing. I'm going to do what I do, and I really love that. My early influences were all like Motorhead, and I just like got like a.
Oh yeah, Lemmy.
I love a lot of heavy stuff. I still do, and it's funny because I'll listen to it, and then what comes out is very acoustic kind of music. And I've got some other projects that I'm working on as well, but they're in the very early stages. Yeah, it comes out. It doesn't always come out. If you listen to something heavy, it's not going to come out that way necessarily. But I do like discords. I like complex chords and things that are a little bit more dissonant, and I like to resolve in music and things like that. So
That's awesome. Do you think that a lot of music doesn't have a message anymore? Do you think music has lost its soul in the last 15 years?
you know what? I'm going to try not to get on a rant with this, but yes, I do. Although I think we have a lot of great artists with a lot of really great things to say. I just think we're not hearing them on mainstream radio. And I understand the business side of music and the accessibility. I know one genre of music. I talked to an artist in LA, a very big artist I bumped into, and we had a really good conversation. Really nice guy, and he actually even admitted that when they go in the studio, that the producers like cross out 3-syllable words and say like make this 1 or 2 syllables. Like you have to like they want the lyrics to be written at like a grade 3 reading level is the idea, and that's I don't like that. I think that's maybe going too far, and I think there's an audience out there for things that are a little deeper, and I think we can be real. And I think people are. I know a lot of people personally that are starved for music that has a deeper lyrical content. So I think there's a lot of great musical art out there. I just think that we've lost a way for people to hear it to some degree.
Do you think it's going to switch back ever? Like my daughter's 10. I saw your daughter in the background earlier. Do you think it's ever going to switch back? Because I fear for the music that my daughter listens to right now. It scares me how explicit it is, even when it's not meant to be that way. There's messages in some of this stuff that is disgusting.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
do you fear for your daughter growing up in, I like to call it plastic pop, is what's being put out right now?
Yeah,
Do you have worries about that?
I do. I find a lot of lyrics repulsive, and I know this may sound ridiculous, but I would rather my kids. I have two 12-year olds and a 11-year-old and a 6-year-old. I would rather them listen to like death metal talking about Satan worship than half of the like. Not that I want that, but I'd prefer that over like the odd kind of flippant sexual content that they hear.
Yeah.
I think it's degrading. I have three
Yeah.
daughters. I think it's degrading, and I think we're doing a pretty good job about pointing those things out to them, and I think they're we teach them about self-respect and that
Yeah.
so I hope you can only shelter your kids' ears so much. They're going to hear things, and
Yeah.
it's just more how they listen to it. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed at a lot of the pop lyrics that come out. You know, it's but
It is what it is.
yeah, and I hope you're right. I hope there is a switch. I mean, I remember distinctly when Nirvana came and got rid of the perms and spandex,
Yeah.
well, like almost overnight, and that was kind of refreshing. There was a whole new depth that came from that. Um, so yeah, we'll see. Knock on
Well,
wood.
I've been talking much like you. I've talked to a bunch of the artists that Eric works with. Eric Alper, everybody. There's your plug, Eric. Uh, but I've been talking to a lot of the artists that Eric works with, and he's been sending me to interview people that have actual soul. Which there's a young lady in Toronto named Dellen Gray, and she is amazing, and her music actually has emotion in it. And I think that's what's missing is the real emotion, right? Uh, it's the same three chords over and over. Shake your booty, and that's what 90% of songs are these days. Which is what is the point of that? Um, in your career, what would you be? Let's get off the sadness and horrible of society. But what would your dream gig be for who you are? Where do you actually want to go?
In terms of venue, what's my dream venue?
Both a venue and position in life,
Um,
as far as an artist and entertainer.
I would love to be able to continue to make albums, and I would love to play for, I like the idea of playing for large audiences, but maybe not so large that it loses the intimacy. So, like a room like Massey Hall to me is like
Okay.
the perfect room. That's a place in particular that I'd love to play. I think the sound is beautiful. When people go to watch an act there, they're there to listen. It sort of draws listening audiences. So that kind of thing, and that means the most to me as far as this my direction with these albums. So that's
Absolutely.
kind of where I'd love to be, is just to be able to do it. Which, to be honest, I'm doing that. I'm creating the albums. I'm playing. I'm fortunate. I feel even with everything that's going on in the world right now, I've managed to finish writing and record this third record, which I wasn't actually going to even really start the process for another 8 months. But when life throws you lemons, right?
Yeah.
So,
That. Yeah. Uh, well, you're in Ontario, right? You're pretty much. I'm in Saskatchewan. We're both pretty much locked up and not allowed to actually do any events, right?
yeah,
So we just got restrictions here to 30 people. So I can technically have an event, but with 30 people, whoop-de-doo,
yeah.
right? Which it would be nice, but it's not what I need for my own performances. When you look at actually, what are you promoting right now? What specifically do you have coming out right now, or what should people see as far as your work?
Well, I mean, all my music is available. Like In Light and Red Wagon, both albums are available on iTunes and Spotify and all that. We have the latest single that we've released is the song Red Wagon that has a video as well. So that's been circulating. We do have like I've got when I say we, I mean my manager and I can't function without her. She's incredible. So, um, but there's a single coming out. Actually, I'll even give you the title. It's called Rain Check, and it's going to get released, I think, in the next 2, 3 weeks. I'm thinking, and I'm really excited about that song. And I think time wise, at rain check, it's sort of like rain check on emotions, like is that kind of thing. And I think with everything going on in a lot of people's lives, have been put on hold and delayed and things like that. So it wasn't written. It was written prior to that, but I love how it resonates with everything going on as well, and I'm really excited about the song. And the new record. There's still some things I'm putting on. I'm speaking with the cellist right now to get some cello on. I've always wanted to do that, and I'm really excited about it. So that's what's going on. But yeah, I've got lots of material up on for people to check out. One thing actually I'll throw in, my favorite guitar player is Frank Marino, which is why I met him and we hit it off and worked together. But he's always been my favorite since I was 14. He actually played on Red Red and does a guitar solo on the song "High for You." So that's a fun one for me too. It's kind of like one off the bucket list. So
That's
that
awesome.
that was fun, yeah.
So, is it true that you should never meet your heroes?
Not in this case, although I have been really, really disappointed before. I like, yeah, it's you know what? This is the first one where I met him, and he is so smart and insightful. I think he's been a mentor to me, not just in music. He's taught me a lot about music too, but I think even more about life. He's very family oriented, very moral, very stick to your guns, your convictions. I'm really fortunate to have him in my life. Actually, he's just a really great person.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I want to talk about your kids, not just about the music, because the point is to get to know you as a human being. And I saw your little one running around earlier, and you said you've got 12 year olds. Uh, if if God forbid something happened to you, and you weren't here anymore, what's one thing that you would want your daughters to know? Because I want them to know, and I need you to tell them this after the video.
Mm, you know what? I honestly, I want them to know that they can do whatever they want, and they just have to. And I believe like this is true for everyone. You can do whatever you want. You have to put your mind to it and stay true to what you want to do. Never get in a position where you're doing something for a living that you're not happy with because someone suggested that to you. And those messages are usually given to people with the best intentions. Oh well, you should do this because of security, et cetera, et cetera. Life is too short. Um, and even though I'm fortunate in doing what I do, I wish I had have followed my guts even earlier, in this direction. I would want them to always pursue, whatever it is, where their heart takes them, I guess
That,
is, and that I love them more than anything,
that,
but
I
they,
didn't mean to get all sad or anything. The
yeah,
truth is, the reason I ask is because as parents, we have a connection. No matter whether we believe it or not, there's a connection between all parents, especially dads. It's a weird thing because we can talk about our kids for the next 45 minutes if we wanted to. When you are actually making music,
yeah.
what's your process like? A lot of people have told me that they just write stuff down. Other people have told me they literally go into somewhat of a trance and they have no choice but to write. Is How does it work for you?
Bunch of different ways. I also go in a trance, but usually it's because I've had lack of sleep because of the kids. So I guess I have to credit them for some of it. And it's usually I haven't had enough coffee. So it's not really like a cool artistic trance. It's more of a, you know, groggy trance. But I do write better when I'm overtired, which is interesting. I don't know why. I guess that it's I'm not overthinking anything. I'm just sort of
Yeah.
naturally doing things. And I write things in short bursts again because I don't get 20 minutes even at a time with a kid asking something, and dad's never shut off, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always writing, which is why I hear musicians going, "Oh, I would write an album, but I can't find 4 hour blocks of time." Neither can I. You know,
Yeah.
I always write like sometimes it's like in the middle of the night I'll grab a piece of paper. I'm also a very like pen and paper type of person, so I always have scraps of paper and notebooks. Actually, my manager Hannah got me this really great leather bound back book, so I use that for lyrics too. It's really cool. And so I'm always like piecing things together, and then when I do have time, or if I need to have time, I'll go like sit outside and try to do it. But there's no one process. I think I need a bit of chaos and a bit of caffeine and just to be a little bit overtired. It's probably
That's
not the
awesome.
most like uh, grandiose like process in the world, but that's just how it comes out. And it comes when it comes. Unfortunately, too, I can't. just sit down and go, I'm going to write. For this new record, I wrote 3 of the songs were written in a 72-hour period, and they all turned out really, in my opinion, good. Like I'm really happy with how they turned out, and they just came quick. And then I might not write anything that I like for a week or two. It just comes and comes.
Have you ever put anything out that you absolutely hate?
Yeah, not with my name on it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'd rather not even mention it. I've done session work where it's not just those playing. Like there's sometimes I'll play on a record, but my name doesn't go on. So
Yeah.
usually involves you get paid a little bit more for the session or whatever. But there's one that my name went on that I don't like, but it's like in the liner notes and no one reads those anyway. So I
all
think I'm safe.
all 8
Yeah.
people that watch this will be going through all your discography to figure out where it is. Uh,
Yeah, I wouldn't say I
uh,
hate it, but there's things that I wish that I had have done differently. But I mean, I think I don't think I know any artist that doesn't think that anyway.
yeah.
But as far as my In Light, Red Wagon, and this new album coming out, I feel very comfortable in everything that I've done, and I can listen to them and I can go, yeah, that was honest, that was real. Um, I feel good about it.
So I was late, and I apologize for that. Like
Oh,
live on air, I'm sorry about that. My last interview went a bit long, but normally I start off every show with the icebreaker question. But you've been really open, so I didn't need the icebreaker question. But I'm going to ask it now.
mhm.
Because you're a dad and you don't have a lot of time, the icebreaker question of the week was supposed to be, what old person things do you do?
I wish my kids were here to just tell you for me. I have the worst dad jokes. I don't know if that's an old person thing, but they're getting worse and worse. They're on par with, I don't know if you've ever seen Modern Family, but the dad Phil, like mine are really actually that bad, and I can't help myself. It's like this old man compulsion to do this. The other thing is, let me see. Oh, my kids could answer this so easily. I I try not to fall into it. I try to like stay in shape. I run and I'm always like biking with the kids too and stuff like that. I'm fighting against it, but I think I'm getting more set in my ways about things too, and my stubbornness is pretty good now. Yeah, I
Well,
don't. Yeah, there's probably a ton. I think I'm in denial. So you're actually asking the one person that can't
that
even
doesn't know.
know. It's just like yeah. My kids would have like a list for you.
We all do. The thing about the dad jokes is they're hilarious. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, mine are
As
me. Yeah, I think that
Yeah, I laugh every time I say one, and my kids are like, "What is wrong with you?" And they're
yeah.
fantastic. But
Oh yeah, my kids don't even say anything now. They just kind of like they get this like it's like a
yeah,
mix of like disappointment and shame in one look, which again I think is funny. So it just makes me laugh even harder.
you know what's funny about that? I think that the dad joke and that shame that you see is the beginning of the hatred of the teenage years, right? Because all teenagers hate their parents for a year or two, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's where it begins when they first realize that their dad is kind of dumb. Because I'm kind of dumb, and most dads are kind of dumb. Don't get me wrong, we're smart, but for teenagers, we're dumb.
yeah. The teenage years scare me. I don't understand it. I was even thinking like with my son, I was thinking when he really starts hitting puberty, like maybe he should just put like a bed in the garage until he's done. Apparently, that's not an option or humane. And then as far as the girls go, I think I don't understand. They're far more complex than I am in
Yeah,
regards to a lot of things. So I just don't understand. So I sort of freeze up, and it's already starting a little bit. And although my girls are lovely, we'll see we'll see where that goes. But yeah, we get a little sauce here and there.
yeah. The My oldest is 11, and yeah, 10, yeah, she's 11 now, and yeah, every once in a while it's that back talk that you don't really like, but you have to understand it's there, and if you really go against it, they're gonna get pushed even further, right? And then that's how you lose them. But I think you'll do okay.
Yeah.
We are at 25 minutes. I want to thank you for taking the time to be here. Um, Before we end off, where can people find your stuff? I know the website's scrolling below, but where do people find your actual albums?
On iTunes, Spotify, You can reach me as well on Instagram, shane.music on Instagram, and Shane Music on Facebook. If anyone wants to get a hold of me and see what's going on, usually pretty good about posting everything and keeping people updated. And I always enjoy answering questions that people have in me as well. Um,
That's awesome.
that's probably the best way. And as far
That's
as
awesome.
actual product, there are some music stores that are carrying it. They can get in touch with you if they want vinyl, CDs, things like that. We also have that. Some people are still hard copy kind of folks, and yeah,
That's fantastic. I don't think I've owned a CD for probably 5 years. There's a bunch in my house, but they just never get used.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Shane, I do want to thank you for coming on, and I do apologize one more time just because I was late. The last question I always ask is, what have you done today to make yourself happy? And it can't be this interview.
Today, oh, this is gonna sound lame. I got up and I went through my entire practice routine and finished it. So that's part of my whole thing. I like to, get up, practice, and feel good about that. And that's what I've done so far today. And I might even go for a jog, or I'll get lazy and not do that. I don't know. Either way, I'll be happy with my choice.
That works. Shane, I want to thank you for coming on. I apologize if we went too deep, and I thank you for being so open about who you are as a human being. I think that's what is missing in the plastic pop we talked about and the plastic world that we talked about. So being a human is very important to me. Thank you so much. Everybody who's watching, please go check Shane out. Go to his Instagram, follow him, all that stuff. Like and share this show, obviously, and make sure that Shane makes a little bit of money because that's what's needed right now in the world without being able to do concerts and all the rest of it, right? So thank you, everybody, and thank you for the heart, whoever sent that heart. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane, I'm not. How do you say your last name properly?
Kluche.
Cluche. Okay, I was gonna say Coulter, so I'm
Yeah.
glad I didn't mess that up. So Shane Clute, and thank you very much, Shane. I'm gonna ask you to wave bye bye, and I'll end the broadcast.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.